The massive crystalline chamber stretched impossibly high above the lone human figure standing at its center. Ambassador David Kane had seen pictures of the Galactic Council headquarters, but nothing had prepared him for the overwhelming reality of standing inside the most powerful governing body in the galaxy. The walls pulsed with living light, carrying messages between representatives of hundreds of alien civilizations, each one capable of reducing entire star systems to cosmic dust. Kane stood perfectly still as thousands of alien eyes focused on him from ascending tiers that spiraled upward like an inverted mountain. The chamber could hold the population of a small city, and today it was filled with beings whose combined fleets controlled over 10,000 worlds. At the apex of the towering structure sat the High Tribunal, 5 ancient beings who had guided galactic civilization for millennia. The silence was broken by a sound like grinding mountains as Chancellor Vorthak rose from his seat. The massive stone creature stood 20 feet tall, his body composed of living mineral that sparkled with embedded crystals. When he spoke, his voice resonated through the chamber with the authority of geological ages. Ambassador Kane of the species designated human, Vorthak's words carried across the vast space through neural translators. You stand before this council to answer for your species' crimes against galactic order. Kane remained motionless, his hands clasped behind his back. He had studied every record of council proceedings for the past 3 years, analyzing how they conducted these tribunals. No species had ever left this chamber without submitting to council. Authority today would be different. Your species has been observed for 5 standard years since achieving faster than light travel, continued Chancellor Vorthak. In that brief time, humanity has committed violations that would justify complete extinction under galactic law. A holographic display materialized above Kane, showing star charts marked with human expansion routes. Red zones indicated violations of protected space, while warning symbols marked encounters with other civilizations that had ended badly for humanity's neighbors. Unauthorized expansion into 14 restricted sectors, Vorthak enumerated, his crystal-embedded hide reflecting the display's light. Destruction of 2 monitoring stations belonging to the Confederation of Aligned Worlds. The weaponization of asteroid mining equipment against civilian vessels. Most seriously, the development of artificial intelligence networks that have begun analyzing the defensive capabilities of neighboring civilizations. Murmurs of concern rippled through the assembled delegates. The ethereal collective's representative pulsed with agitated yellow light, while the mechanical assembly's war minds calculated threat assessments with visible concern. Kane finally spoke, his voice carrying clearly despite the chamber's overwhelming size. Honored Chancellor, I believe there has been a fundamental misunderstanding. The statement caused a stir among the delegates. No one corrected the High Tribunal during formal proceedings. Explain, Vorthak commanded, his massive form leaning forward. The Council seems to believe humanity seeks membership in galactic civilization, Kane said calmly. We don't. The silence that followed was absolute. In 3,000 years of galactic history, every species encountered by the Council had either joined willingly or been forcibly integrated. The concept of voluntary isolation was incomprehensible. Admiral Zexra of the Military Enforcement Division stepped forward, her insectoid form bristling with barely contained aggression. All spacefaring civilizations must submit to Council oversight. This is fundamental galactic law. Whose law? Kane asked with genuine curiosity. Humanity never agreed to these regulations. We never signed any treaties or accords. We simply developed our own technology and began exploring space that, according to our understanding, belongs to no one. Chancellor Vorthak's crystal hide flared with brighter light as his anger grew. The Council has maintained galactic peace for 3 millennia. Every civilization submits to our authority for the good of all. Every previous civilization, Kane corrected. Humanity chooses a different path. The correction hit the chamber like a physical blow. The assembled representatives began chattering in dozens of different languages and communication methods, creating a cacophony of alien voices that filled the crystalline space. Dr. Nexus of the Scientific Consortium, a being of pure energy contained within a geometric framework, projected his thoughts directly into the chamber's translation network. This is unprecedented. No species has ever refused integration. Which brings us to why I'm here, Kane said, reaching into his diplomatic pouch. Security systems throughout the chamber activated instantly as hundreds of defensive fields surrounded the human ambassador. Kane moved slowly, pulling out a simple data pad that looked primitive compared to the advanced technology surrounding him. "Relax," Kane said with a slight smile. "I'm not here to threaten anyone. I'm here to deliver a message." He activated the device and a new holographic display appeared above the chamber. This one showed detailed scans of human space, but the readings were impossible. Every human world, every space station, every ship in their growing fleet was generating energy signatures that defied known physics. For the past 5 years, while the Council has been observing and cataloging humanity's expansion, we've been observing and cataloging the Council, Kane explained conversationally. Your technology, your military doctrines, your political structures. We've learned quite a lot about galactic civilization. Admiral Zexra's compound eyes focused intently on the display. Those energy readings are impossible. No civilization possesses technology capable of generating such power outputs. No galactic civilization, Kane agreed. But humanity developed in isolation. Our technological path followed different principles than yours. Chancellor Vorthak studied the display with growing alarm. The power signatures emanating from human space were beyond anything in Council records. "What are you showing us?" "The Pandora network," Kane replied simply. "Every human world, every station, every ship is now connected through quantum-entangled communication arrays that operate faster than light. More importantly, they're all equipped with technology that your scientists will find interesting." The display zoomed in on one of the energy signatures, revealing technical schematics that made several delegates gasp in recognition and horror. Dr. Nexus pulsed with agitated blue light. "Stellar manipulation technology. They've learned to weaponize stars themselves." "Not weaponize," Kane corrected. "Harness. Every human system now has the ability to redirect stellar energy for defensive purposes. Any fleet approaching our worlds would face the combined output of our local star." The implications rippled through the chamber as military advisors began frantically calculating the defensive capabilities Kane was describing. Admiral Zexra's mandibles clicked rapidly, and what humans had learned was her species' expression of extreme agitation. "You're threatening the Council with stellar weapons?" she demanded. "I'm informing the Council that humanity is no longer vulnerable to conventional military action," Kane replied calmly. "We're not threatening anyone. We simply want to be left alone to develop our civilization in peace." Chancellor Vorthak's massive form shifted as he processed the tactical situation. "And if the Council refuses? If we determine that humanity poses too great a threat to galactic stability?" Kane's expression grew serious for the first time since entering the chamber. "Then you'll discover that humans don't surrender, Chancellor. We adapt, we innovate, we survive," he gestured at the datapad, and the display changed to show shipping routes, trade networks, and communication lines that connected Council civilizations across the galaxy. "The Pandora network isn't just defensive," Kane continued quietly. "We've mapped every critical infrastructure point in Council space. Every trade route that feeds your worlds. Every communication relay that connects your civilizations. Every single point of failure that could bring galactic civilization to its knees." The chamber erupted in outraged voices as delegates realized the implications. Humanity hadn't just developed defensive technology. They had conducted a comprehensive intelligence operation against the entire galactic community. "This is an act of war," Admiral Zexra shrieked. "This is insurance," Kane corrected firmly. "Humanity wants peace, but will only accept it on equal terms. We're not asking to join your council. We're not requesting protection or aid. We simply want recognition that human space is sovereign territory." Chancellor Vorthak leaned back in his massive throne, the crystal formations in his hide dimming as he contemplated the impossible situation. For the first time in galactic history, the Council faced a species that was neither weak enough to conquer, nor cooperative enough to integrate peacefully. "You ask us to abandon 3,000 years of precedent," Vorthak said finally. "I'm asking you to recognize that the galaxy is changing," Kane replied. "Humanity represents something new. A civilization that can defend itself without requiring Council protection. We can be neighbors, trading partners, even allies, but we will never be subjects." The human ambassador tucked his data pad away and prepared to leave the chamber. As he turned toward the exit, his final words carried across the crystalline space with quiet certainty. The Council has 7 days to formally recognize human. The emergency session chamber buzzed with unprecedented chaos as representatives from every major civilization gathered in response to humanity's shocking ultimatum. The crystalline walls of the Galactic Council headquarters pulsed with urgent red light, indicating the highest level of galactic crisis in over 1,000 years. Chancellor Vorthak stood before a massive holographic display, showing real-time intelligence reports from across human space. The data streams flowing in painted an impossible picture that defied everything the Council thought they knew about the primitive species they had been. Monitoring, Admiral Zexra clicked her mandibles anxiously as she addressed the assembled delegates. Our deep space reconnaissance drones have confirmed the energy signatures Ambassador Kane displayed. Every human world is generating power outputs equivalent to channeling their entire star's energy. Dr. Nexus, of the scientific consortium, pulsed with agitated yellow light as his energy matrix processed the implications. The technology required for stellar energy manipulation should be beyond any civilization that achieved spaceflight only 5 years ago. The theoretical framework alone would require centuries of research. Unless they didn't develop it themselves, interjected Warmind Alpha of the Mechanical Assembly. The cybernetic being's optical sensors focused intently on the display data. Analysis suggests human technology follows principles not found in any known galactic civilization. Chancellor Vorthak's crystal hide dimmed with concern. Explain. Human technology appears to be based on quantum manipulation rather than conventional energy transfer, Warmind Alpha continued. They're not generating massive amounts of power. They're redirecting energy that already exists. Their stellar manipulation devices essentially turn each star into a focused energy weapon. The revelation sent shocked murmurs through the chamber. Stellar weaponization was considered a theoretical impossibility. The energy requirements for controlling a star's output should exceed any civilization's technological capabilities. Fleet Commander Torgal of the Lithoid Assembly rumbled his deep, stone-grinding voice. Our military analysts estimate that conventional fleet action against such defenses would result in total annihilation. No known shielding can withstand direct stellar bombardment. Admiral Zexra's compound eyes reflected the chamber's pulsing light as she consulted her tactical reports. Intelligence suggests human defensive capabilities are only part of their technological advancement. Long-range sensors detect massive construction projects throughout their territory. The display shifted to show partially completed structures orbiting human worlds. The constructions were enormous, Purao space installations that dwarfed anything in Council records. Some appeared to be manufacturing facilities, while others defied identification entirely. What are they building? Chancellor Vorthak demanded. Unknown, admitted Dr. Nexus, his energy pattern flickering with uncertainty. The construction materials include elements not found on the periodic table of any known civilization. Human industrial capacity appears to have increased exponentially in just the past 6 months. Warmind Alpha's processors hummed audibly as he analyzed the construction data. Pattern recognition suggests these installations are components of a larger network. Possibly manufacturing, possibly defensive, possibly something entirely unprecedented. Before anyone could respond, the chamber's communication array activated with an incoming transmission. The signal was originating from deep within human space, somehow bypassing the Council's own monitoring systems. The image that appeared was not Ambassador Kane, but a woman wearing what appeared to be a military uniform unlike anything in galactic records. Her insignia indicated high rank, but the design followed no known military tradition. Honored members of the Galactic Council, the woman said with crisp authority. I am Admiral Lisa Chen of the Human Defense Coalition. I bring greetings from the independent worlds. The title was new and carried ominous implications. Independent worlds suggested humanity had moved beyond simple territorial claims to actual political organization. Chancellor Vorthak leaned forward in his massive throne. Admiral Chen, your transmission should be impossible. Our sensors detect no human vessels in Council space. Admiral Chen smiled with the same disturbing confidence that Ambassador Kane had displayed. We've made some improvements to our communication technology, but I'm not here to discuss technical achievements. I'm here to address the Council's mobilization of military assets near human borders. The statement caused alarm throughout the chamber. The Council's fleet movements should have been undetectable to human sensors. Admiral Zexra stepped forward aggressively. Human intelligence capabilities are irrelevant. The Council maintains the right to position defensive forces wherever necessary for galactic security. Defensive forces? Admiral Chen's expression grew amused. Is that what you call the 3,000 ships currently assembling in the Centauri sector? The number hit the chamber like a physical blow. The Centauri fleet mobilization was classified at the highest levels of Council security. No external species should have known the force composition or location. Warmind Alpha's optical sensors flashed with rapid calculations. Human intelligence penetration of Council military operations appears comprehensive. Recommend immediate security protocol review. How? Dr. Nexus demanded, his energy matrix pulsing with agitated blue light. Human technology shouldn't be capable of bypassing our security systems. Admiral Chen's smile widened. You're thinking like a galactic civilization, Doctor. You use quantum encryption, subspace communication arrays, and energy-based data storage, all very advanced by galactic standards. She paused, allowing the implications to sink in. Humans use different principles. We learn to manipulate information at the quantum level before we achieve spaceflight. Your security systems are designed to protect against galactic threats, not human innovation. Chancellor Vorthak's crystal hide flared with brighter light as his frustration grew. You speak of human capabilities as if your species possesses technology superior to galactic civilization. Not superior, Admiral Chen corrected. Different. Galactic technology follows paths established over millennia of shared development. Human technology evolved in isolation, following principles that your scientists haven't discovered. The display above the chamber shifted to show technical schematics that made several delegates gasp in recognition. The design showed quantum manipulation devices that operated on principles unknown to galactic science. Quantum consciousness transfer, Dr. Nexus whispered, his energy pattern flickering with amazement and horror. They've learned to digitize awareness itself. Among other things, Admiral Chen confirmed. The Pandora network that Ambassador Kane mentioned isn't just a communication system. It's a distributed consciousness network that allows human minds to operate across multiple platforms simultaneously. The implications were staggering. If humans could transfer consciousness digitally, they could potentially exist as pure information, making traditional military action meaningless. Fleet Commander Torgal's massive stone form shifted with grinding sounds. You speak of consciousness transfer as if death itself is meaningless to your species. Death is an inconvenience. Admiral Chen replied simply. Every human consciousness is backed up across the Pandora network. Destroying our physical forms merely forces us to reload from previous save points. The casual dismissal of mortality sent shocked silence through the chamber. Immortal beings were the stuff of ancient legends, not modern reality. Admiral Zexra's voice cracked with barely controlled fear. You're claiming humanity has achieved technological immortality? We're demonstrating that human innovation follows different principles than galactic development, Admiral Chen corrected. The question isn't whether we're immortal. The question is whether the Council wants to find out how far human defensive capabilities extend. The threat was subtle, but unmistakable. Humanity wasn't just claiming independence here. They were suggesting they had the technology to enforce it against any opposition. Chancellor Vorthak studied the impossible readings flowing across his displays. Energy signatures that defied physics, construction projects that dwarfed galactic capabilities and now claims of consciousness, transfer that made traditional warfare obsolete. What do you want? He asked finally. Recognition of human sovereignty over our claimed territories, Admiral Chen replied. Withdrawal of all Council military assets from human borders, and formal acknowledgement that humanity will develop according to our own principles, not galactic standards. Warmind Alpha's processor's word as he calculated the strategic implications. Human demands essentially require abandoning Council authority over spacefaring civilizations. Precedent suggests other species might demand similar independence. Other species are welcome to try, Admiral Chen said with amusement, but they'll need to develop their own technological solutions. Human innovations aren't available for export. Dr. Nexus pulsed with calculating orange light. You're suggesting humanity will share no technology with galactic civilization? We're suggesting that technology sharing requires mutual respect between equals, Admiral Chen corrected. The Council views all other species as subjects requiring guidance and control. Humanity views The Kepler Nebula had been chosen as the testing ground for the Council's response to humanity's ultimatum. Military strategists believed the nebula's electromagnetic interference would neutralize human technological advantages while providing familiar operating conditions for Council forces. They were catastrophically wrong. Admiral Zexra stood on the bridge of the Council dreadnought Galactic Supremacy, watching her tactical display with growing unease. 57 of the galaxy's most advanced warships had arranged themselves in a standard battle formation, designed to demonstrate overwhelming force while maintaining defensive cohesion. Opposite them, seemingly alone in the vast expanse of the nebula, hung a single human vessel. The ship was unlike anything in Council records. Where galactic vessels followed millennia of established design principles emphasizing armor and firepower, the human craft appeared almost organic. Its hull flowed like liquid metal, constantly shifting between configurations as if the ship itself was alive. "Sensor report," Admiral Zexra commanded, her compound eyes focused on the impossible readings flowing across her screens. Chief Science Officer Mortek consulted his instruments with visible confusion. "Admiral, the human vessel appears to be phasing in and out of normal space. Energy readings fluctuate between 0 and levels that should tear apart any known hull material." The observation sent concerned murmurs through the bridge crew. Ships that could phase between dimensions were purely theoretical, requiring technology that existed only in speculative research papers. Admiral Zexra activated the communication array. "Human vessel, you are outnumbered 57 to 1. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded for inspection." The response came from a calm male voice that carried disturbing confidence. "Admiral Zexra, this is Captain Robert Martinez of the human vessel Prometheus. I'm afraid we must decline your invitation." "Captain Martinez." Admiral Zexra's voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to absolute obedience. "Your position is hopeless. Submit to Council authority and your crew will be treated according to interstellar law." "Interesting proposition," Captain Martinez replied conversationally. "Tell me, Admiral, what do you know about human military history?" The question seemed irrelevant, but Admiral Zexra had studied intelligence reports on the primitive species. "Your species has engaged in constant warfare using crude chemical weapons and primitive vehicles. Tactically unsophisticated but persistently aggressive." "Close," Martinez acknowledged. "But you've missed the most important lesson of human warfare. We don't fight fair." As he spoke, the space around the human vessel began to ripple with impossible distortions. The electromagnetic interference of the nebula, which should have hampered all technology equally, seemed to be enhancing the human ship's capabilities. "All ships, battle stations," Admiral Zexra commanded as her sensors detected massive energy buildups throughout the nebula. "Prepare for engagement." What happened next would be analyzed by military historians for generations. The human vessel didn't attack, it simply disappeared. One moment, the Prometheus was visible on all sensors. The next, it had vanished completely from normal space. The Council fleet found themselves alone in the nebula, weapons trained on empty vacuum. "Impossible," whispered Mortek, frantically adjusting his instruments. "Mass sensors indicate the ship is still present, but optical and energy detection shows nothing." Admiral Zexra felt a chill of fear that had nothing to do with the nebula's cold. "Full spectrum scan, find that ship." Before her crew could comply, the Prometheus reappeared, anchored directly in the center of the Council formation. The human vessel materialized between two Council dreadnoughts with impossible precision, close enough that collision seemed inevitable. But instead of impact, something far more disturbing occurred. The Prometheus extended what appeared to be metallic tentacles from its flowing hull, making physical contact with both Council ships simultaneously. The moment contact was established, both dreadnoughts went dark. "Bridge to engineering," Admiral Zexra barked at her crew. "Status report on the Retribution and Cosmic Justice." "Admiral," came the panicked response. "Both vessels show complete power failure. Life support, weapons, propulsion, communications. Everything is offline." Captain Martinez's voice returned to the communication channels with the same disturbing calm. "Demonstration complete, Admiral. As you can see, human technology operates on principles your vessels weren't designed to counter, Admiral." Zexra stared at the tactical display showing two of the galaxy's most advanced warships floating dead in space while a Single human vessel moved between them like a predator among prey. What did you do to them? She demanded. Quantum drain, Martinez explained conversationally. Human technology can manipulate energy at the subatomic level. We simply redirected the quantum foundations of their power systems. Your ships are undamaged, but they'll remain powerless until we choose to restore their energy matrices. The implications hit the bridge crew like a physical blow. If humans could drain power from ships at will, traditional space combat became meaningless. This is an act of war, Admiral Zexra shrieked. This is a demonstration, Martinez corrected. An act of war would involve actually destroying your ships. As if summoned by his words, space around the nebula suddenly filled with new contacts. Human vessels materialized out of what appeared to be thin air, their phase-shifting technology allowing them to appear anywhere without warning. Admiral Zexra watched in growing horror as her tactical display showed the true scope of human capabilities. What had seemed like a single isolated vessel was revealed as bait in a carefully laid trap. Impossible, Mortek whispered. Our intelligence indicated only minimal human naval assets in this sector. Your intelligence was accurate 12 hours ago, Martinez acknowledged. Human vessels don't travel through normal space, Admiral. We manipulate dimensional barriers to achieve instantaneous redeployment anywhere in the galaxy. The tactical display now showed nearly 200 human vessels surrounding the Council fleet. What had begun as overwhelming numerical superiority had become a desperate disadvantage. Captain Martinez's voice continued across all frequencies. Admiral Zexra, I want you to understand something important about human military doctrine. We don't maintain static defensive positions or predictable formations. We concentrate overwhelming force wherever it's needed, then disappear before enemy reinforcements can respond. The human vessels began moving in perfect coordination, their phase-shifting technology allowing them to pass through normal matter like ghosts. Council ships found themselves unable to target enemies that could become incorporeal at will. All ships emergency retreat, Admiral Zexra commanded, but her fleet was trapped. Human vessels had surrounded them with a barrier of quantum interference that prevented faster-than-light travel. Retreat isn't available, Martinez informed her. The quantum field we've established around this region prevents any vessel from entering or leaving hyperspace. Consider it a temporary quarantine zone. Admiral Zexra realized with growing terror that 57 of the galaxy's most advanced warships were now imprisoned by technology they couldn't understand or counter. What do you want? She asked, her voice cracking with barely controlled fear. Recognition, Martinez replied simply. The Council needs to understand that humanity is no longer a primitive species requiring guidance. We've developed beyond your ability to control or threaten. One of the human vessels approached the galactic supremacy with casual confidence, its hull flowing like liquid metal. Admiral Zexra watched helplessly as quantum tentacles extended from the alien craft, making contact with her ship's hull. Don't worry, Martinez assured her as her ship's power systems began fluctuating. We're not going to harm your crews. We're just going to demonstrate something important. The quantum drain began slowly, siphoning energy from the Council flagship systems one by one. Life support remained active, but weapons, shields, and communication arrays went dark in sequence. Human technology can selectively disable any system on your vessels, Martinez explained as the demonstration continued. We could leave you with life support while removing your ability to fight. We could disable your engines while maintaining weapons. We have complete control over the engagement. Admiral Zexra felt her mandibles clicking rapidly with stress as she realized the tactical impossibility of her situation. Her fleet was trapped, powerless and completely at human mercy. This is your final demonstration, Admiral, Martinez announced. Return to Council space. Inform your leadership that humanity has withdrawn from all galactic accords and treaties. Human territory is now sovereign space, protected by technology your civilization cannot counter. The quantum barriers around the nebula suddenly dissipated, releasing the Council fleet from their prison. Power began returning to disabled vessels as human quantum drains disengaged. You're letting us go? Admiral Zexra asked with disbelief. We're sending you home with a message, Martinez corrected. The Council has a choice to make. Accept human independence and establish diplomatic relations as equals, or discover what happens when humans stop demonstrating and start fighting. Impasse. The assembled War Council represented the greatest military minds in galactic history. Deep within the fortress world of Aegis Prime, far from human space and protected by layers of the most advanced defensive technology the Council possessed, the galaxy's military leaders had gathered to plan their response to humanity's impossible capabilities. Supreme War Commander Thaxamul dominated the center of the strategic planning chamber, his massive cybernetic form bristling with neural interfaces that connected him to every military database in Council space. The ancient being had commanded galactic forces for over 800 years, and his tactical genius had never failed to find solutions to seemingly impossible military problems. Until now, Admiral Zexra stood before the holographic display showing her fleet's humiliating encounter in the Kepler Nebula, her compound eyes reflecting the shame of total tactical defeat. Around the chamber, representatives from 47 military civilizations studied the impossible sensor readings with growing unease. Analysis confirms human technological capabilities exceed all theoretical models, reported Dr. Vex Hahn of the Military Research Division. The crystalline being's faceted surface flashed with agitated colors as he processed the data. Phase shifting. Technology allows instantaneous material transport. Quantum manipulation enables selective system disruption. Dimensional barriers prevent conventional escape or reinforcement. Supreme War Commander Thaxamul's optical sensors focused on the tactical recordings with mechanical precision. Recommendation: conventional military action against human forces is inadvisable until countermeasures are developed. The admission sent shocked murmurs through the chamber. In galactic history, no enemy had ever been declared militarily superior to Council forces. Fleet Admiral Korthval of the Destroyer Corps leaned forward aggressively. The humans demonstrated defensive capabilities, not offensive weapons. Their quantum drains required physical contact with our vessels. Sustained bombardment from maximum range could overwhelm their defensive systems. Analysis suggests otherwise, Thaxamul replied, his mechanical voice carrying no emotion. Human vessels demonstrated selective material phasing. Conventional weapons would pass through their hulls without effect when they shift to incorporeal states. Dr. Vexhahn's crystalline form pulsed with calculating blue light. Research indicates human technology operates on quantum consciousness principles. Their ships may be extensions of human awareness rather than traditional mechanical constructs. The concept was terrifying in its implications. If human vessels were controlled by quantum consciousness, they could potentially think and react faster than any organic or mechanical pilot. Admiral Zexra gestured at the tactical display. Intelligence reports suggest human expansion has accelerated dramatically since their ultimatum. Long-range sensors detect massive construction projects throughout their territory. The display shifted to show partially completed structures that defied architectural understanding. Some installations appeared to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, while others seemed to bend space around themselves in impossible configurations. "What are they building?" demanded General Morgoth of the Assault Legions. "Unknown," admitted Dr. Vex Hahn. "The construction materials include elements that don't exist on our periodic tables. Human industrial capacity appears to have increased exponentially, using principles we don't understand." Supreme War Commander Thaxamul processed the strategic data with growing concern. Probability assessment indicates human capabilities will continue advancing at unprecedented rates. Military intervention must occur before their technological advantages become insurmountable. "How?" Admiral Zexra asked with barely concealed frustration. "Our conventional weapons can't target phase-shifted vessels. Our ships can be disabled by quantum manipulation. Our fleets can be trapped by dimensional barriers." Before Thaxamul could respond, the chamber's emergency alert system activated with urgent red warnings. Intelligence operators burst into the strategic planning room with expressions of barely controlled panic. "Supreme Commander," announced Intelligence Director Plixnav, his multi-limbed form trembling with stress, "we've detected massive energy buildups throughout human space. The readings are unlike anything in our databases." The main display activated, showing real-time sensor data from monitoring stations positioned around human territory. The energy signatures were staggering all-sharp power outputs that exceeded entire star systems. Dr. Vex Hahn's crystalline surface flickered with amazed horror. These readings suggest humans are channeling energy from multiple dimensions simultaneously. The power levels should tear apart local space-time. Unless they've learned to stabilize dimensional barriers, Thaximal observed with mechanical calm. Analysis suggests human technology may operate outside conventional physical limitations. As if summoned by the discussion, the chamber's communication array activated with an incoming transmission. The signal was originating from the heart of human space, somehow bypassing every security system the Council possessed. The image that appeared was Admiral Lisa Chen, but she looked different from her previous appearances. Her uniform had changed, incorporating symbols and patterns that seemed to shift and flow like living things. Behind her, the bridge of her vessel appeared to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Supreme War Commander Thaximul, Admiral Chen's voice carried across the chamber with disturbing confidence. I bring greetings from the Human Dimensional Collective. The new title sent alarmed murmurs through the assembled military leaders. Dimensional Collective suggested capabilities far beyond anything they had imagined. Thaximul's optical sensors focused on the transmission with mechanical precision. Admiral Chen, your communication should be impossible. This facility is protected by quantum encryption and dimensional shielding. Admiral Chen smiled with the same predatory confidence that had become humanity's signature. We've transcended conventional communication methods, Commander. Human consciousness now operates across multiple dimensional layers simultaneously. The implications hit the chamber like a physical blow. If humans could communicate across dimensions, their intelligence capabilities were effectively unlimited. Admiral Zexra stepped forward aggressively. What do you want, human? To prevent unnecessary bloodshed, Admiral Chen replied calmly. Our monitoring systems indicate you're planning military action against human territory. I'm here to explain why that would be inadvisable. The display behind Admiral Chen shifted to show technical schematics that made several delegates gasp in recognition. The designs revealed dimensional manipulation devices that operated on principles unknown to galactic science. Human technology has evolved beyond your ability to counter, Admiral Chen continued. We no longer exist solely in normal space. Our civilization now spans multiple dimensional layers, making conventional military action meaningless. Dr. Vexhan's crystalline form pulsed with agitated yellow light. You're claiming humanity has achieved dimensional transcendence? We're demonstrating that human innovation follows different principles than galactic development, Admiral Chen corrected. The constructions you've detected aren't manufacturing facilities. They're dimensional anchors that allow human consciousness to exist across multiple reality layers. Supreme War Commander Thaximul processed the tactical implications with growing alarm. Multi-dimensional civilization would be immune to conventional attack. Physical destruction of installations in normal space would not affect their dimensional extensions. Precisely, Admiral Chen acknowledged. But more importantly, human, dimensional capabilities allow us to influence normal space from outside conventional physics. As if to demonstrate the point, the chamber's own holographic displays began flickering with impossible images. Sensor readings showed human vessels materializing throughout Council space, not arriving through faster-than-light travel, but simply existing where they hadn't been before. Impossible, whispered Intelligence Director Plixnav. Our sensors show human ships in 17 different star systems simultaneously. They appear to be observing our military installations. Admiral Chen's expression grew serious. Commander, Thaximul, human vessels are currently positioned near every major Council military facility in the galaxy, not as a threat, but as a demonstration of capability. The tactical display activated, showing real-time positions of human vessels throughout Council space. Every shipyard, every command center, every strategic installation was being observed by ships that had appeared without warning. How? Admiral Zexra demanded, her voice cracking with fear. Dimensional phase technology allows instantaneous positioning anywhere in normal space, Admiral Chen. Because humanity doesn't seek conquest, Admiral Chen replied. We seek recognition. The Council can choose to accept human independence and establish peaceful relations, or you can discover what dimensional warfare actually entails. The threat was subtle but unmistakable. Humanity wasn't demonstrating defensive capabilities, they were revealing offensive potential that made traditional military planning obsolete. Supreme War Commander Thaximel's mechanical mind calculated the strategic situation. 1 year after humanity's ultimatum to the Galactic Council, Chancellor Vorthak stood before the largest assembly in galactic history. The crystalline chamber had been expanded to accommodate representatives from over 500 civilizations, their various forms creating a sea of alien diversity united by a single emotion: desperate curiosity. The humans had done the unthinkable. They had vanished. Not through defeat or retreat, but through something far more disturbing. They had simply transcended normal space entirely. Every human colony, every vessel, every trace of their civilization had disappeared from conventional reality 3 months earlier, leaving behind only empty star systems and abandoned infrastructure. Dr. Nexus of the Scientific Consortium pulsed with agitated blue light as he addressed the assembly. Long-range sensors confirm the impossible. Human space shows no life signs, no energy emissions, no indication of technological activity. Yet gravitational anomalies suggest massive structures continue operating in dimensions we cannot detect. The revelation sent concerned murmurs through the assembled delegates. A civilization that could exist outside normal space was beyond any previous understanding of physics or technology. Admiral Zexra stepped forward, her scarred hide bearing new marks from encounters with increasingly strange phenomena. Military reconnaissance has detected dimensional rifts throughout former human territory. These rifts appear stable but lead to locations that exist outside conventional space-time. Chancellor Vorthak's massive, crystalline form reflected the chamber's nervous energy as he processed the strategic implications. Status of Council territorial claims. All former human worlds remain gravitationally stable but completely inaccessible, reported Territorial Administrator Klaxnon. Attempts to establish colonies on abandoned human planets result in equipment failures and personnel disappearances. The worlds appear to exist in normal space but reject interaction with galactic technology. The admission was deeply troubling. If entire star systems could become inaccessible to galactic civilization, the implications for expansion and resource management were catastrophic. Before anyone could respond, the chamber's reality began to shift in ways that defied description. The air itself seemed to ripple with impossible energies as space folded around a materializing presence that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The figure that appeared was recognizably human but fundamentally changed. Ambassador David Kane stood in the center of the chamber, but his form flickered between normal matter and something that existed beyond conventional physics. When he spoke, his voice carried harmonics that resonated across dimensional barriers. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Kane's words seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I bring greetings from the human ascendancy. The new title carried implications that made several delegates recoil in fear. Ascendancy suggested not just technological advancement, but fundamental transformation beyond recognition. Chancellor Vorthak leaned forward with mixture of fascination and terror. Ambassador Kane, your appearance suggests humanity has undergone significant changes. Kane smiled with an expression that carried depths of experience impossible for beings locked in normal space. We've evolved, Chancellor. Humanity has transcended the limitations of conventional existence. Dr. Nexus pulsed with calculating yellow light. Transcendence implies abandonment of physical form. Are you claiming humanity has achieved dimensional ascension? We've achieved integration, Kane corrected. Human consciousness now operates across multiple reality layers simultaneously. We exist in normal space when we choose, in dimensional space when necessary, and in quantum realms when beneficial. The explanation defied every principle of known physics. Consciousness that could exist across multiple dimensions was purely theoretical, requiring technology that bordered on magic. Admiral Zexra's compound eyes focused on Kane's flickering form. If humanity has transcended normal space, why return to address the Council? Because transcendence brings responsibility, Kane replied with serene confidence. The human ascendancy has observed galactic civilization for the past year. We've watched your struggles with technological stagnation, resource depletion, and political fragmentation. The chamber fell silent as delegates realized the implications. If humans could observe galactic civilization without being detected, their intelligence capabilities were effectively unlimited. "What do you want?" Chancellor Vorthak asked warily. "To offer guidance," Kane replied simply. "Galactic civilization has reached a critical juncture. Your current technological and political development leads to inevitable collapse within 50 years. The projection appeared without warning, a holographic timeline showing the probable future of galactic civilization. The images were disturbing, star systems depleted of resources, civilizations warring over dwindling supplies, and entire sectors falling into technological barbarism. Territorial Administrator Klaxnun studied the projections with growing alarm. These predictions assume no technological advancement or resource discovery. Our research indicates multiple breakthrough possibilities. Research conducted using principles established millennia ago, Kane observed. Galactic technology has stagnated because it follows predictable patterns. True advancement requires transcending conventional limitations. Dr. Nexus pulsed with agitated orange light. You speak as if galactic civilization is fundamentally flawed. Not flawed, Kane corrected gently. Limited. The Council maintains stability through controlled development and unified authority. This approach prevents dangerous innovation, but also prevents necessary evolution. The criticism struck at the heart of galactic governance. For 3,000 years, the Council had maintained peace through careful regulation of technological and social development. Chancellor Vorthak's crystalline hide dimmed with contemplation. You suggest the Council's methods are counterproductive? I suggest they're no longer sufficient, Kane replied. Galactic civilization faces challenges that require solutions beyond current capabilities. Climate destabilization on 47 worlds, resource depletion in 12 major systems, social fragmentation among populations that no longer accept Council authority. The problems Kane described were classified intelligence, known only to the highest levels of Council leadership. His knowledge of these issues demonstrated comprehensive monitoring of galactic affairs. What solutions do you propose? Admiral Zexra asked with barely concealed desperation. Partnership, Kane replied. The human ascendancy possesses technologies that could solve every problem facing galactic civilization. Dimensional manipulation for unlimited resources, consciousness integration for perfect communication, reality transcendence for expansion beyond conventional space limitations. The offer was simultaneously enticing and terrifying. Technologies that could solve all galactic problems would also grant whoever controlled them absolute power over civilization itself. Dr. Nexus flickered with calculating patterns. What would such partnership require? Recognition of human sovereignty over dimensional space, Kane answered. Acceptance that some problems require solutions beyond Council authority, and willingness to evolve beyond current limitations. The requirements seemed reasonable until their implications became clear. Recognizing human sovereignty over dimensional space would effectively grant them authority over realms beyond Council jurisdiction. Chancellor Vorthak processed the offer with growing understanding. You're proposing a fundamental restructuring of galactic civilization. We're proposing evolution, Kane corrected. The current system will collapse within 50 years. Partnership with the human ascendancy offers an alternative R-guided development toward dimensional integration, rather than technological stagnation. Admiral Zexra leaned forward aggressively. And if the Council refuses this partnership? Kane's expression grew sadly compassionate. Then galactic civilization follows its current trajectory toward inevitable collapse. The human ascendancy will observe from dimensional space, and perhaps offer assistance to individual civilizations willing to transcend their limitations. The threat was subtle, but unmistakable. Humanity wouldn't actively destroy galactic civilization, but they wouldn't prevent its self-destruction either. Time frame for decision? Chancellor Vorthak asked with resignation. Immediate, Kane replied. The technological solutions galactic civilization requires cannot be implemented gradually. Either the Council accepts partnership and begins comprehensive transformation, or individual civilizations will need to seek transcendence independently. The choice was clear: accept human guidance toward unknown transformation or face certain collapse using existing methods. Existing infrastructure is already obsolete. Kane observed with patient kindness. Human dimensional technology makes faster than light travel unnecessary. Reality manipulation makes resource scarcity meaningless. Consciousness integration makes political fragmentation impossible. One by one, the assembled representatives began voicing support for accepting Kane's offer. The alternative, or continued stagnation leading to inevitable collapse, was simply unacceptable. Chancellor Vorthak looked around the chamber at beings who had once